All right, so this set of notes is on triangles, finding the area of triangles, just in case you need additional notes on it. There is one thing that's posted online. I'm sorry if you can hear talking in the back room, but my girls are talking and taking a break from their schoolwork right now too. All right, so the first thing that you guys are going to do is I'm going to reference my star chart. My star chart has A is equal to 1/2 base times height. So that's the formula that we're going to put. And if you want to make a copy of this or write it on your own paper, I'll post a blank paper, the blank version, and I'll post my version too if you want my version of the notes filled in for you. So A is equal to 1/2 base times height, or A is equal to base times height divided by 2. They mean the same thing, so you just need to pick which one you're more comfortable with, but this is the one that for sure you're going to see on the formula chart. So whenever you guys take a big test, that's what you'll see. But if you like this one, then use this one. All right, so on the video that's posted online right now, there's a few triangles that look exactly like this, so I decided to start with those two, something that looks similar to that. So for this triangle, it's a right triangle, so I'm going to turn it to the side so we can find the base and the height a little bit easier. So since it's on grid paper, it does make it easier, so I'm just going to label. I'm going to say this is my base, and you're going to count the units to figure out how long the base is. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the base is 7 units long, and the height would be right here. And sometimes it's kind of hard to find the base and the height of a triangle if it's not given to you. This one is a little bit easier, so it's the two sides that make a right angle. So you see how it makes that 90-degree angle? That's your base, that's your height. No matter what, you're going to multiply those two numbers together. You're going to multiply them and then divide by 2. So this is your height, and then I'm going to number those. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And since this triangle goes all the way up to the top of this square, I'm going to count this because this is 10 units tall. Even though, yeah, it cuts in half. But remember, we're going to divide it by 2. That's the whole point of dividing it by 2. Because if we just did base times height, it would be a rectangle. So that's why we're dividing it by 2, because it's half of a rectangle at this point. Okay, so now I have my 2 dimensions. And I'm going to plug them in. So 1/2 base times height is equal to my area. So my base is 7. My height is 10. So now this is where you multiply 7 times 10. And then you're going to take half of it. So 70 divided by 2. That's taking half of something. You divide it by 2. So 2 can go into 7, 3 times 2 times 3 is 6. Then you get a 1, drop your 0. 2 into 10, 5. So then our area of our triangle is 35 units squared. Okay. All right, now the second one is a little bit more tricky to find the right angle because there's no numbers given to you also. So you need those 2 numbers that make that right angle. So if you look at the base, well, which side looks like it's going to be easier to count? Like this right here, this looks messy. This isn't a nice whole unit or cutting it straight in half. So this is just one of the sides of the triangle. It's one of the slants of the triangle. So from here to here would be our base. So we're going to count our units of our base. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our base is 9 units. Now our height is from the very top, the highest point of the triangle, straight down to the base. So that line, that makes a right angle. So right here, there's a right angle this way or this way. Okay, so this is our height. And then you're going to count how many squares it is tall, how many units it is tall. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our height is 6. So those are the 2 numbers you're going to plug into your formula. A is equal to 1/2 base times height. So your base is 9, your height is 6, and you're going to take half of that when you're done. So 9 times 6 is 54, and half of 54. So 54 divided by 2. 2 can go into a 5 2 times. Minus your 4, you have 1 as a remainder, drop down your 4, and then 2 can go into 14 7 times. So our area is 27 units squared. Okay? All right, now the last two, these are two where the dimensions are given to you. This one, your base is given to you right here. It's 2.1 or 2 1/10. And from the very top of the triangle to the bottom of the triangle is 1.8. Now, if there was a number right here, from here to here, let's say that they did. If they did label it, I don't know, maybe like 1.5 maybe centimeters. If they said that this was 1.5 right here, you would still get rid of this information because it's going from here to here. It's like the slant. It's like if you go to the doctor and you get measured, they measure you from your feet to the top of your head, not when you're standing crooked, and they measure your feet all the way when you're like leaning up against the wall in a diagonal manner. They always tell you line up against a wall, and then they see where your head hits the measuring tape. So that's our height right here. So you're going to plug it in, 1/2 base height. So your base is 2 1/10. Your height is 1.8. And then you're going to take half of that when you're done. So multiply your two numbers. Yes, there's decimals, but pretend like it's 21 times 18. You leave your decimals where they are and just multiply. Okay, so 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. Drop the 1 down. 0. And then 1 times everything. So 1 times 1, 1 times 2, and then add to get your product. So this would be 8, 7, 3. And then there is 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal. So there should be 1, 2 numbers behind your decimal. So for the base times the height, it's 3.78. So now you have to take half of 3 78/100. So divide your 3.78 by 2. And since the 2 is a whole number, you don't need to mess with the decimal. You can leave it as it is. So you just go straight into division. So 2 into 3, 1 time. Minus your 2. You have 1. Drop down your 7. And this decimal is going to shoot up into your answer. 2 into 17 would be 8. 16. 1. Drop your 8, 2 into 18 would be 9. So the area of this triangle, I'm going to put A is equal to 1 89/100 centimeters squared. That's our area of this triangle. Okay, the last one given to you, so see that how there's extra numbers. You identify the two numbers that make the right angle. So see if you can find them. So hopefully you notice that this right here, there's my right angle right here. So that's my one side of my right angle. And the other side, well, it wouldn't be this one because these two make an acute. These two make an acute. It would be this side right here. That means these two numbers are not needed. You would cross those out. They're excess information. Those are the two numbers you need in your formula. So this is your base, this is your height. 1/2 base times height. Your base is 16. Your height is 7. Now, sometimes with these, if you want to, you could do a little bit of mental math too. So instead of multiplying those two numbers first, you could think, well, I do have to divide by 2. So is there one of these, or one of these numbers easy to divide by 2 right now? So mentally, 16 is easy to divide by 2. So if you take half of 16, what's half of 16? Okay, that's 8. And then you drop your 7 down. And then 8 times 7 is 56 meters squared. So that's one way that you can do this if you see that that's easier for you to do. And only do that with nice friendly numbers. Because if you want to see, okay, well, am I going to get the same thing? Well, 16 times 7, you get 42, 7 plus 4 is 11. And then you would take 112 and divide it by 2, and you're supposed to get 56. 2 can go into 11 5 times, and you get a 1, 2, you get 56. Look at that. So either way, you'll get the same answer. So if we go back up to the top and we take a look at some of these, like this one, do you think it's easier to take half of 9 or half of 6? Well, if we do half of 6, half of 6 is 3, and then 9 times 3, 87. Look at that. That's pretty easy, right? Over here, which number of these would be easy to take half of mentally? 10. So half of 10 would be 5, and then 7 times 5, 35. That's pretty easy, right? So I want you to do that when you feel comfortable with the formulas, when you're ready to.